Wants to throw it to Sewell. He caught it. He Sewell with a first down. Oh, yes. The big man dives down the 31-yard line. Oh, that is beautiful. Fields looking, pressured, hit from behind, take it down. Aiden Hutchinson got him.
No respect.
So, we look like we're ready. This is day one.
No respect.
Well, good evening, Lions fans. It's Will with Rock Down Detroit Lions. And, hey, we're getting ready for a huge kickoff tomorrow night at 8:15 p.m. The Lions are taking on the Dallas Cowboys. And, man, just like last week, it is all on the line. The Lions wrapped up last week with none other than the NFC North Championship. I mean, how much better does that get? The Lions finally do it. First championship since 1993 and our first championship with the NFC North ever. So really proud of these Detroit Lions, man. They've had an excellent season so far this season, and it can only get better tomorrow night if they can just continue to control their own destiny, right? They're coming into this game as 5.5-point underdogs. The over-under is 52 points on the night. But can they control their own destiny tomorrow night and keep working towards this 1 seed? If they just win out, these Detroit Lions can guarantee themselves a 2 seed. And if they can win out and get a little bit of help in week 18, they can get a 1 seed. So big implications tomorrow night. And it's going to start up front with the Detroit Lions offensive line. They're going to have to play a pretty perfect game, but I'm going to jump into the chat right away and see how everybody's doing. Southwest Lion 16. How you doing, my man? Peter. And he says, hi all. Whatever happens tomorrow happens. The Lions are getting great experience that I think will help them going into the playoffs. Yeah, I hear you, man. I think a lot of us are excited. I think we're excited. I want to say that the majority of us are not settling. I think that there's still a lot of unfinished business, and that's really because, look, man, they left some stuff on the table, right? I mean, they lost a real crap game to the Bears and the Packers. Both games they should have won, and if they could have just won one of those games, it would be such a different season right now. Andy, who we haven't seen or talked to in a while, right? He's kind of been off doing his own thing. He of course he's still always a part of this, but anyway, he thought that we were going to go 14-3 this season. If that son of a gun would have got that right, we wouldn't even be talking about this right now. It would have been locked up. Lions would be the 1 seed all over. And so close. I called 12-5. He called 14-3. And here we are. We could finish right smack dab in the middle at 13-4. So I hear you, man. It's kind of the whatever happens. But at the same time, man, I'm just like John. Let's effing go, baby. Let's do it. And just like Robert says, boy, this one just feels different. Let's go. Bring up Bruce for this one. That's the thing that we were all waiting to hear today is, were they going to sign Bruce to the 53-man roster? He's out of call-ups, I think, or maybe he has one left. I can't even remember now. But I believe that they have to, sign him if they do bring him up one more time. And I could be off on that because things kind of got weird with all the different moves they've done in the past few weeks. And I apologize, I didn't look into that one. Better the Hunt. It's kind of a unique name. I haven't seen you in before. Welcome into Rock Down Detroit Lions, Rock Down Podcast Network. He says Lions 28, Dallas 17. He believes it, and I believe it too, man. I think the Lions can win. I don't know about the score, just yet, but I believe the Lions can win it. Robert says, don't you dare ruminate, Will. All right, so here we go. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pop in just a couple of your guys' chats while I'm talking. That video you made about Larry Fitzgerald's comments, glad you made that video. Larry needs to shut up and remember the Cards 2008 season. Yeah, they got embarrassed that season, didn't they? That was the Super Bowl season. Didn't they come back and lose in that game, if I remember correctly? But anyway, I'm glad I made the video too, man. I was hot. I was pissed off by what Larry said. Like, he has no business talking. Like, come on, man. And Aaron, I was surprised that Aaron Rodgers really had some nice things to say. Like, that really shocked me. But it is what it is. All right, here we go. I'm going to get into this for just a minute, and then I'll come right back to the chat. So Cowboys are 10-5. They're hosting our Detroit Lions tomorrow, who are 11-4. And look, this is the Week 17 battle that we've all been waiting for. I mean, this is the big one. Not only does it have significant postseason implications, but it also has implications for Dallas's 15 games, win streak at home. And I would love the Lions to play spoiler, but really that doesn't mean anything to us. We just want the W because we want to continue winning right now. Dallas is a tough team. They've been exposed, like I've been talking about, but they're a tough team. They're a top 5 defense and a top 5 offense, ranking number 2 in points scored at 30.1 per game and number 5 in points allowed, 19.1 per game. Now, why is that last one significant? I think a lot of you that have been watching this channel for a while know my magic number, and my magic number is 20. If your defense can keep the opposing offense to 20 points or less, you are going to win 85% of the games. It's just a stat that I've been following now for a few years, and the numbers are there. You can pretty much go look at just about any week. Now, there might be a hiccup here or there. You know, one week could be different than the next, but just about every single week in the NFL, unless it's a shootout, the defenses that keep the opposing offense to 20 points or less, that team wins. Test it. Go look for yourself. Look at the last few weeks and call me a liar. I don't think you'd be able to, but I think you get what I'm saying. The Cowboys have created an overall imbalance this season on the scoreboard, and that's why they're winning games. They are the only team in the NFL that is averaging over 30 points a game while limiting their opponents to 20 points or fewer per game. So that's a big number. That's exactly what I wanted to see the Lions doing. And, if we had a top 5 defense right now, I think we'd be going all the way to the Super Bowl, to be honest with you. And I'm not saying that we can't. I think it's kind of wide open. I just think it depends on how we finish. The biggest thing is Dallas has dropped 2 consecutive games in a row. And last week they got beat up by the Dolphins, but only by 2 points, 22-20. And like I said earlier, these Cowboys have won 15 games in a row. So with that initial information, I'd like to know from you guys, in the chat, what are your initial worries about the game tomorrow night as far as this defense is considered? I'm more worried about our Lions defense than I am the Dallas defense. I think that we have a pretty high-powered offense, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. But I'm more concerned about what their offense can do to our defense. Southwest Lion says Buffalo and Arizona in particular, they had a run-centric approach against the Cowboys. I think of the Lions do what they do offensively. The last 2 games, they've got a real shot at winning this. I hear you there. I agree with that. Lone Wolf, we got to that one. And Gajan says, would be nice for Hutch to get hot before the playoffs. Yeah, it would be. We need him to get going, man. It's nice to see Iffy and Kirby stepping up. A couple of guys get demoted. Iffy and Kirby step up in a big way. And CJ Gardner-Johnson or CD Deuce, he'll be back week 18. So everyone's starting to warm up at the right time. And the Lions defense is starting to catch a little bit of fire at the right time too. So Michael says your video on Larry was spot on perfect. I appreciate that, Michael. It was kind of just truly off the cuff. Like I was pissed off today. And I had to get it out. I didn't like what he said, and look, we're not the same old team. We're not the same old Lions. We're just not. And anybody that thinks that, if you're a fan and you think that, you shouldn't be. This team is gotten rid of, everything that we've been carrying for so many years. This year, by winning this NFC championship, they have buried SOL forever. It's done. They are cremated. It's over. Lock it up. It's done. I don't ever want to hear about it again. I never personally was an SOL guy. Sure, I had my moments where I was upset, right? I think every one of us has the right to be at some point. Team wasn't playing well. And you get so excited for every season. You're invested in every season. And it just never went our way. But now we have something to believe in. So our defense is buzzing right now, says Gajan. And it is buzzing, man, in a good way. Southwest Lion says that time of possession and turnover battle is going to be big for tomorrow night. And I got that one written down too. I'm right there with you. Steve K is worried about CeeDee Lamb. Steve, nice to see you. Welcome in tonight. I think everyone's worried about CeeDee Lamb. And I wrote some things yesterday. I did a video yesterday about the 5 keys to the Cowboys defense, or the Cowboys and our defense against CeeDee Lamb. And after watching the Bills game versus Dallas, I came away with some keys into stopping CD that can work. And I'm wondering if the Lions are going to use it. Not based on my video, of course, but just based on, what other teams have been able to do and the success that they've had. And I'll talk about some of that tonight because it was pretty interesting what I had seen. And maybe it was just a bad camera angle, but from what I had seen, they used a gunner type system on CeeDee Lamb. So they had 2 guys kind of left and right side of him. You had a head-on guy, whether it was a safety or cornerback on CeeDee Lamb, and then they brought down another guy and kind of treated it like a gunner situation. I've never seen that before on a defense where they weren't punting a ball. So it worked. I think he was held to 83 yards in that game. It worked. And I think for situational football, I think it's a good idea. So we'll see. We'll see what happens tomorrow. The Lions have won 3 of our last 4 games. And we're coming off a big 30-24 win over Minnesota. In Minnesota in week 16, a victory that obviously helped us secure our first NFC North Division title since 1993. And of course, our first NFC North title ever since the realignment of 2002. The Lions offense can attack defenses from a multitude of ways. And I think some of you have already pointed a lot of this out tonight. We have a very physical offensive line, and we have many weapons in the backfield and on the perimeter of this offense. Detroit is 3rd in the NFL in total offense with 394.1 yards a game. 5th in passing offense with 253, and 3rd in rushing offense with 141.1. Additionally, they are 5th in scoring, 27.5 points per game. They've also notched 30-plus points in 8 games this season. So the Cowboys have a test. Look, we're healthy. We're rolling down to Dallas healthy and probably pissed off and ready to, take on the Cowboys, who the Lions have always had distaste for the Cowboys. And even this week, Ndamukong Suh had some things to say about the Cowboys. So, it would have been nice to bring him back this season. I think that this would have been a perfect game to do it based on what, comments he had to say. And maybe there's still an opportunity, if Aleem McNeil can't get back quick enough, who knows? Maybe Ndamukong Suh ends up as a playoff option for the Lions. We'll just stick that one to the side for now, though. Dallas's defense has been a very disruptive defense on all phases and on all 3 levels. They rank 7th in the NFL in total defense with 299.7 yards allowed, 5th in pass defense, 184 yards per game, and 9th in total sacks with 42. The fact that they're only 9th in sacks, I think that makes me feel a little bit better. I think that our offensive line is going to do just fine tomorrow. I don't think Goff is going to be under a crazy amount of pressure. I think he's going to be under pressure, but I don't think it's going to be something that he can't, work through. I think that he's going to find his guys a lot quicker, like he has the last 2 games. And linebacker Micah Parsons, clearly one of the most dominant edge rushers in the game. Parsons has very violent hands with quickness. He has very violent hands with the quickness to line up across the defensive line in multiple positions. And currently he is tied for 7th in the league in sacks with 13 and 53 tackles. All right, let's jump back over to the chat here. Lone Wolf says he's worried about Sutton's injury. Yeah, I haven't read any more on that. I know he was questionable. Matter of fact, let me pull that up real quick here. I knew I forgot something. So the injury, I don't think that we really need to be too worried about it as far as him not playing. I think that he's going to play just fine. All right, I got that stuff pulled up. I'll be right back to it. All right, so let me jump back here in the chat here. Sports Talk with Rob. Hey, man, how you doing? I feel like this game tomorrow can be similar to the Chargers game. Man, that would be a fun game from a shootout perspective. I just hope the Lions can hang on in the end. It's in those types of games, and I know Rob knows this, defenses are going to win because all it's going to take is one stop. Are we confident that the Lions are going to be able to get that stop? I'm not. I think that they would have a better chance of getting an interception than a defensive stop up front. So I feel like if it were to happen anywhere, it would happen with an interception. Gajan, thank you for answering that about Cam Sutton and his toe. It's not going to be an issue. You know, these guys play with injuries all the time, and toes suck, especially if, they got like the turf toe thing going on. Very painful. I've never had it myself, but after reading about it and seeing some pretty gruesome pictures, very, very painful. Come on, when you get a hangnail or something, look how painful that can be. So imagine what these guys go through, but they're pretty tough. They get some numbing shots in there and they just battle through it. But these guys in their feet, look at what Primetime's going through. Now, I don't know the full extent of his medical diagnosis, but a lot of what he's got going on is because he played football. And that's what these guys are battling. These foot injuries and toe injuries can manifest into something later on in life that's, not easy to live with, disabling at times. Southwest Lion says he expects Dallas will be loading the box to try to stop the run. I'd be doing a lot of play action. I think that's a great plan. Brent says, I think our defense has turned the corner. Will, what do you think? I think that we're getting there, Brent. I do. I think that we have a long way to go. I think a couple of games, that we've played the last few weeks have been better at picking up on, some turnovers, namely some interceptions. But we're still not getting pressure up front, and we're not getting the sacks that we need to get at the right time. We need something, to happen tomorrow that we haven't seen. And that's, we need to make sure that Dak is really running and ducking for cover. I don't know how they're going to do it with such a wide open offense that the Cowboys have. But I will speak to some things and some ideas that I've come up with. But let's just put, in simple terms, you guys know that I've been begging for this 3-2-6 and 4-2-5. And they finally started using it, and we've been having some success. If AG goes away from that tomorrow, You guys can mail it in. Game's over. If AG dials that up and you know, a few more times above what he's done, meaning if we're only sending the guys 4 times a game, like 8 times tomorrow, then we'll have some success if he's more efficient with it. We'll see. We'll see what happens. AG is the wild card tomorrow. I'll be honest with you. Chris says we just let up 400 yards to Nick Mullins. Yeah. And that's what has me worried is when we start, you know, I love that the packages that we're using and you know, sending the DBs and sending the linebackers to get pressure on the quarterback. I love it. But you have to stop the big plays. We let up 11 explosive plays over 20 yards against the Vikings. So 220 plus yards on just 11 plays. That cannot happen tomorrow. If that starts happening again, you might as well mail it in, turn off the TV because it's going to be a long day. So at some point, they're going to have to move their DBs from playing in from a position of behind. I mean, what do we always see? We always see our guys kind of running to catch up to the wide receivers where they're playing the under. They're underneath the receiver. Why can't we play over? You know, get above these guys. Keep it in front of you. Don't let them get above you. If you let them get above you, you better have a safety up top that's right there to come up and knock it down or make a bigger play. So I want to see our guys play over. And the biggest thing I said in the video, I believe it was yesterday, and I know this is going to be corny as all get out, but we got to jam the lamb, man. Got to get up there and jam the guy. Don't let him get going. Throw off his timing. You get him off of his timing, that means Dak is going to have to move on, you know, to Brandon Cooks or Michael Gallup or Ferguson. He's got to go down the line. And I feel like we have much better opportunity with those guys than we do CeeDee Lamb. So I've missed quite a few here. Robert says our O-line is the best in the business when healthy, and we're healthy. This is a good spot to be in for the offense. 100% agree. Michael Danko says Lone Wolf. He said he still has hate because of the BS call. You must be talking about Ndamukong Suh. I'm sorry, I never answered that. The BS call that helped them beat the Lions in the playoffs. Yes, yeah, he's very angry about that play. It's always stuck with him. Ndamukong Suh. He's still pissed off about the Cowboys game, and rightfully so. I mean, that was a terrible call. Terrible call. Gajan says if we can get pressure on Dak, he'll throw it to us. And that's exactly what I'm hoping tomorrow. All right, let me read a few more things here. So the Cowboys can send different waves of pass rushers on defense, as 4 players have at least 4 sacks on the year. Their defensive end, Dorrance Armstrong, he has real long arms. He uses his length and his burst to evade blocks. Now, I'm not sure which side he's going to be lining up on tomorrow, but he's already recorded 32 total tackles and 5.5 sacks on the season. So he's someone that we're going to have to pay attention to. And then the other defensive tackle that I'm most worried about is Osa O. He's been a force this season up the middle. He's recorded 44 total stops, 9 TFLs, and 3 sacks. So they've got a few guys up front that are going to give our boys a difficult day, or a difficult evening, I should say. It's just how can we pivot and how can we, make the right calls? How can Ben Johnson dial things up and be a mixologist again and allow Goff to work more efficiently? So I think we're going to see heavier sets tomorrow. 22 personnel, 21 personnel, 12 personnel. I think we'll see a lot of that. I think that you're going to probably go to a lot of the same things that worked the last couple of weeks, getting the ball out in under 2.5 seconds, quicker routes, but you're going to have to set it up with speed. So we need speed in tomorrow, which means I want to see more of JMO. I want to see JMO get active and early in this game downfield. If we're not taking a couple of shots downfield, then we're not going to set the tone with the Cowboys to say, hey, you can't just come up and press us. We're going to throw it over top. And Goff has to have the confidence by now. He just does. He's got to wing it. I'm okay if he throws one interception tomorrow, but he's got to wing it. He's got to give J-Mo a chance to go get it. I just hope that J-Mo doesn't lose the ball in the lights again, because it seems to be his Achilles heel. No pun intended. He loses the ball in the lights quite a bit, it looks like. Southwest Line 16 says, Will, I think AG has finally figured it out. He understands that the only way they are going to hit and sack the quarterback is with blitzing. Go figure, right? Like, come on, AG. Wake up, buddy. I mean, that is part of the game, right? Someone please tell me where AG thought that it was okay to only rush the front four and hope that you were going to get pressure. That's just not how it works. You need to send additional guys. And before I'll get ahead of myself, I always do, but the other thing that I really want to see tomorrow is that if Hutchinson is not having impact right away, if he's not able to get home and really affect the game in a positive manner, I'd rather see him sit down. And I don't mean on the bench, but I mean on his end. I'd rather see him just kind of play that zone, keep everybody in front. Don't let any major, rush attacks off his edge or up his gap. Just kind of sit home, and get pressure from the other side. Because when Dak comes running to his side, well, then he can go after him and get him. We want to force the ball to one way or the other. I'd rather force it to Hutch than away from Hutch. Does that make sense? So we've seen Hutch do that. I can't remember which game it was. Was it the Broncos? I think it was the Broncos, where Hutch was kind of playing in his zone. You know how I said, stay in your box. If you leave your box, everybody's kind of in trouble, and he kept leaving his box. I believe it was the Broncos game that he stayed home, and man, they played a great game. They really did. That allowed the DBs to work. It allowed them to fire the DBs, in more blitz packages. Will Akers says, are we rocking the gray unis with alternate helmet tomorrow, or is that against the Vikings? I don't know. I guess I didn't pay attention to color scheme tomorrow. I don't know. That'd be I like the helmets, and I've always loved the grays. I mean, I don't think they're our best uni. I'm a big fan of the blues, but I love the grays too. I need to get a jersey. I need to get a new jersey before they get rid of them. Robert Welch says they can't run on us. They are soft against the run. We should own them, or own time of possession on paper. I agree with that. I really do. Sports Talk with Rob says, you think J-Mo will have a breakout game tomorrow? Look, I'm hoping so. I'm really hoping so. I need him to have a breakout game, not just because, I did a couple of FanDuel things, but because he needs that confidence heading into the playoffs. We need that confidence heading into the playoffs, that he can be utilized for more. Lone Wolf says, don't forget about Laporta. He is an excellent weapon to have. Look, he's my rookie offensive player of the year, hands down. Him and Gibbs, they should be 1-2. I mean, it's kind of a toss up, but I don't know. Would you guys want to give Laporta rookie offensive player of the year? Is there anybody even better than him? I mean, honestly, between him and Gibbs, I don't know if you could really make an argument for anybody out there. And I'm not saying just yards, right? Not just stats, but game changer. Laporta is a game changer. All right, so this is some information that I put out the other night, and I want to talk a little bit about it today. So the first key to the game for the defense was, I think we all know what needs to happen on offense, but the first key to the game is we can't play scared. And since that game on September 11th, 2022, Dallas has gone unbeaten at home, winning 15 games in a row. So the Lions can't come into this game thinking that it can't be done. They need to come in thinking it can and will be done. Prescott, he's played very well in his home environment. He's thrown for over 2,000 yards, 20 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions in the last 15 games at home. It's intimidating, right? To think that you're walking into a place where these guys just don't lose. But at some point, they have to lose. It's just the way that it works. Tomorrow night is going to be that game. There's a few things that have changed since the last time the Lions and the Cowboys faced off against each other last season. And that's that the Lions are a much different offensive team. And they went out and added Montgomery, who was their prized possession in the free agency period. And then they selected Gibbs early in the first round. They added Laporta early in the 23 draft. And then they also had more firepower that hadn't been used yet in Jamison Williams because he was recovering from injury. And the Lions offensive line is completely healthy tomorrow. And then you've got Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's been a league leader the last 2 seasons, or a top 5 league leader the last couple of seasons. So the Lions offense is head and shoulders way above where it was the last time these two teams met. And then on the defensive side of the ball, we don't have Jeffrey Okudah anymore. We have Cam Sutton. And he was a top free agent target for the Lions and for Brad Holmes. And then we added Jack Campbell to help shore up the middle of the defense. And then, of course, Brian Branch, who has been one of the best rookie DBs in the 23 class. So this is a much different team. Much, much different team. Cowboys are going to have their hands full. And I believe that this Lions offense is going to get it done. So to go back to a comment earlier, let me get to Peter Braley's first because I like this one. We need to move Hutch around, especially if the Cowboys starting left tackle is not playing. That is a big key to tomorrow's game. Hutch needs to move. I don't always want to see him on the left end. They've got to move him around, especially with Aleem McNeil out. They got to move him up and down the line. There's nothing wrong with putting him in as a defensive tackle and then doing a twist, right? Or a stunt off the line and have these guys move around and shake up the offense. We don't see a lot of movement out of our defense. When you watch other defenses in the league, what do you see? You see guys kind of moving up towards the line, moving back, moving sideways, left, right. Guys are kind of moving around. Not our guys. They just kind of get into their position and they're there. And they're not really trying to cause any confusion to the offense. If you remember one thing that I said a while ago, when the opposing offense comes up and they're just ready to hike the ball and they're not switching guys around, bringing in motion, switching up the play, that means they know what you're doing. Or they're confident they can beat whatever it is you're doing. We want to see these guys, we want to see Dak come up and have to change plays, put guys in motion, move guys around. That can come back to hurt you too, because that could mean that he does know what you're doing and he's switching to a different play to get into a better position. But it's always kind of been that, way for a long time that if you can make the offense move around, then you're confusing them a little bit. You're disguised well enough that they don't know what you're doing. So I'll be looking for that tomorrow to see if our guys are moving around at all. Chris, yeah, good one there with CJ Stroud and Puka. I mean, Puka's great. I mean, but let's, I guess, how many touchdowns does he have is the question. And CJ Stroud, yeah, for a quarterback, he's played lights out. But I just don't know too many tight ends that have ever done what Sam Laporte has ever done. I mean, I know the answer. There's only been 5 in the entire history of the NFL. So how many quarterbacks have done what CJ Stroud's have done? How many receivers have done what Puka Nacua have done? I think that has to be the question that gets asked for rookie offensive player of the year. How many tight ends have done what Laporta has done? All right, Brent says we need to keep Dak under 2 seconds to throw. That's a tall order, my man. That's tough. I would say that he's probably going to be closer to 2.4, 2.5 would be great. If we're able to get pressure that quickly, we'll have some success. That's a tall order, but I love where your head's at. Taylor, you don't want to be moving players around with young cats in the secondary. They get confused too. Yeah, I mean, our secondary is not that young anymore. If he's been around a while, Tracy's been around a while, Sutton's been around a while. Branch is the youngest one, but I think that, Branch is he's head and shoulders above his age. He's wise beyond his years. Let's put it that way. Lion Dog says Aquara brothers, Harris or Irvin to ball out tomorrow and get some sacks on the right side. That would be nice. We need someone to get off on that right side. I'm missing Mr. Kaminsky, man. Last season was such a great season for him. All right, so my second key for the defense was that the Lions need to take advantage of what we do well on the defense. And I believe the biggest key is that AG is making some changes on defense the last few weeks, which has allowed the emergence of Ifeatu Melifonwu and Kirby Joseph. And this has really revitalized this Lions defense in recent weeks and allowed the guys to kind of find their mojo again, find their confidence. And I feel like it's so important in this game that these guys are able to play with their head held high and confident, their chest puffed out, and they feel like they can do anything, that they can win any battle. The thing that I fear is that if AG gets stubborn and doesn't allow these guys to play free, fast, and loose tomorrow, that they're probably going to shut down and you're going to start seeing our deficiencies come out. And that's where you're going to see the explosive plays down the field. And it's going to be a long evening for Lions fans. And I don't want to see that. So AG's got to come in with the good plan of letting these guys play. Every team has weaknesses. We know that. Dallas Cowboys have weaknesses too. It's just the Lions have had too many this season that have been exposed. And we need to make sure that those stay wrapped up tomorrow. Covering these deficiencies, it's not easy, but you can do it with more DBs on the field. Faster guys flying around, making plays on the ball. And, when you're sending the blitz from different areas, different zones, every few plays, you mix it up. You confuse the offense. And I believe tomorrow that's how you're going to beat the Cowboys. So we'll see. We've done it the last few weeks, but can we rattle Dak? That's the biggest question. Can we get Dak rattled? Everybody knows that when Dak Prescott starts moving around and he gets rattled, he makes bad decisions. Very bad decisions. He likes to throw interceptions. So we got to get him moving around and get him off his feet and on his back a few times to get his head out of the game. All right. Yes, Chris, the opening line tomorrow is -5.5. I think it's kind of a slap in the face. I mean, if you were to look at numbers directly for what they are, the Cowboys put up 30 points. They give up 20. The Lions put up 27.5. I think they give up 23.5. So when you blend all those numbers together, I had it at -3.5. I still had the Lions as an underdog. All right, so my third key to tomorrow is focusing on our run game, limit the pass, pressure Dak. And I kind of went deep off into this one a little bit. I don't know if everybody watched one of the videos yesterday that I put out on the defense keys. Let me pop in Southwest Lion. He says, Will, if there was ever a game the Lions could have played scared in, it was the Vikings game. They continued to be aggressive defensively, and in the end, they won the game. Cheers to that, man. Cheers to that. And that was a game that, you're right, they started to give up some big plays. And I feel like, Kirby and Iffy both, they do great at baiting opposing quarterbacks. They hang back. They position themselves. I mean, it's almost like a solar eclipse. If you've got your quarterback your wide receiver, and they all get in alignment, you can't see the DB. And that's what Iffy and Kirby do. They will get in front of the receiver, behind the receiver that's in front of the quarterback. Quarterback can't see him. And it's when you play smart like that that you're able to come up and make the interceptions that we do. So, all right. So focusing on the run, thankfully the Lions have a front five that's been doing well in the run game. But last season, Pollard destroyed Hutchinson's edge, and that cannot happen again this year. Hutchinson needs to play disciplined football tomorrow. And like I said in the beginning, I would much rather see Aiden stay home and protect that zone and hit his gaps and make sure that nothing gets past him. I'd rather see that than him rushing the passer and really getting out of his details. That's my only knock tomorrow and on Hutchinson is just I'd rather see him stay home. The way that the Lions can limit to limit the rest of this with Dak and Pollard, not having big gains is that 4-2-5 and 3-2-6 that we've seen the last few weeks. We bring in the heavier package, with the DBs. It would have been nice to have CJ Gardner in. I can only imagine if we had, 3 really strong safeties, but we still have 3 decent safeties. We got Tracy, Iffy, and why is my mind running blank right now? Kirby. Sorry. So with those 3 guys in and Cam Sutton, and Brian Branch and Kendall Vildor, I mean, those are 6 solid guys that can play fast and fierce tomorrow and run around and make plays on the ball. And that's what I want to see. I'd rather have speed than, the big guys in. Put more speed on the ball. Target number 1 for Dak is CeeDee Lamb. I mean, I don't think that's any surprise. And with that, we're going to need Cam Sutton traveling tomorrow. We need him to stick to CeeDee Lamb. And I want to see him popping him. I want to see him get up, get in his face, get him off the ball, jam him up. Maybe have a couple of guys jam him up. Don't let him get loose. You got to screw up his timing. You got to get physical. Like Southwest, Lion says, I would get physical with Parsons whenever they run the ball. I mean, utilize that same type of mentality on CeeDee Lamb. So you jam him up, you throw him off his route, and then in certain situations, you can almost play him like a gunner. You're up on him one-on-one, go up and pop him. He starts running. You got another guy next to him, pops him. He's out of the play. So that means Dak is going to have to move down the line. I know I said it in the beginning of this show. I'm just saying it again because target number 2 is Jake Ferguson. And I feel like if he's matched up with Brian Branch tomorrow, as good as Ferguson has been this season, I don't think that Brian Branch is going to have many issues. He's obviously a lot faster than Ferguson. Branch has got good size. He's a heady football player. I feel like Fergie's going to have a couple of receptions tomorrow. But I think that, Branch is going to do his job and drop him where he catches the ball. And that's because Branch has been one of the best DBs for this Lions team at not allowing yak yards. So to me, I think that's it's a big opportunity for Branch tomorrow to show what he has. All right, so we got a big dono from Jonathan Fleming. Thank you for the $9.99, buddy. He says Gibby will have a career day. Lions 41-13. All right, man. So you've got no respect for the Cowboys. We're rolling it all the way tomorrow, 41-13. Appreciate the donation, man. Appreciate you watching the show. Robert Welch also says, if we hassle Lamb enough, it'll disrupt this whole offense. You're darn right. And that's what I'm hoping for is let's get out and bully these guys. When's the last time we've seen our Lions come out and bully these guys? And that's what we need to do. If you remember the Seahawks game this season, when I was sitting in the stands watching that game, I was almost like, I don't know what the awestruck and dumbfounded. I wasn't happy. I know that, but I was almost in awe of the way the Seahawks were playing. It's like they were playing nasty, disrespectful. They were getting out there and just kind of punching our guys in the mouth. I mean, just like dirty football, like rabbit punches under the pile, that kind of dirty football. But it was visible. These guys were Goff took that huge late hit in that game, and then he ran down into our end zone and was showing off, to the Lions fans. Like, look what I just did to your quarterback. I can't imagine that he didn't think that Goff didn't have the ball. So that's how I want to see the Lions play tomorrow, is smash mouth football. I don't want to see them playing dirty, getting penalties, because it'll happen in Jerry world. They'll be throwing dirty laundry at us all day. But just go in there and play tough. Hit these guys in the mouth. Third target for Dak is Brandon Cooks. Now, Cooks, he's not the same Cooks. I mean, he's still fast. He's still got some speed. He still plays a decent game, but Vildor or Branch, will be matched up on Cooks most of the day. And I believe that's a great matchup, whoever ends up on him. Only from the standpoint that I believe that, like I said, Cooks is not the same guy with the speed that he used to be. And if it's Vildor that's matched up on him, Vildor has some pretty good speed to his game. I think that Vildor will have a good game tomorrow. And like I said yesterday, he's my dark horse for catching an interception tomorrow night. Lastly is Michael Gallup. And he's another big target for Dak. He's the fourth target on the day. And Michael Gallup hasn't had, the greatest of seasons, but he's still had a pretty solid season. I think he's got at least, 40 catches, 400 yards on the season, a handful of, of touchdowns. He's not the same Gallup he used to be. Again, kind of like Cooks. But if you let him cook, Gallup can change the game. So the Lions have got to do a good job tomorrow that when he's in the game, that they don't let him, turn out to be a game changer tomorrow. Don't allow him in space. You still got to bottle up this guy. He's going to be out there in 11 personnel for sure. All right. Lion Dog says double jamming Lamb off the line. And again, within 5 yards will reduce the big plays. DBs will be gritty with the other receivers. I love it, man. I haven't seen the Lions do it this year. I want to see them get up in the face and get dirty tomorrow. This is, again, it's all on the line. We know this. So lastly, my fifth key here, really, I guess it's still part of 3, is we got to pressure Dak, but we got to do it more naturally tomorrow. And what I mean by that is let's pressure him more naturally than forcefully. Yes, I want, the front four getting after Dak as much as possible, but I want to see the Lions use the linebacker and the DB blitz tomorrow more in this game, more often than we have been. But if the front 3 or 4 are not getting the right kind of pressure, just let them do their job, control the run game, and maintain Dak behind the line of scrimmage. I'm not worried about Dak's legs as a dual threat, but if you let him outside or if he finds a big hole, he will gash us. So let the front 4 do what they got to do. Let's start blitzing some linebackers and DBs tomorrow and get some other pressure that's more unnatural, meaning up in his face, put him on the ground, and make him feel us. Like I said earlier, we get into his head. Dak is a mess. Robert Welch says, as long as we play Melifonwu at 6 positions again, we're good. Man, he's all over the place, isn't he? And he's been playing great. Lauren McQuaig. Hey, Lauren, how you doing? Says, when you have a strong safety room, corners can get more physical off the line of scrimmage. Vildor and Melifonwu have changed the D backfield. Plus, the play calls only gets better with CJ GJ back. I 1000% agree with that. I'm excited to see CJ Gardner back next week. It'll be interesting to see how it changes this defense. Does anybody want to call in? I'm going to open up the phone lines. Let me get it rolling here. All right. If anybody wants to call in and talk tonight, the phone number is 313-312-0348. I'll take a few calls. I'm going to probably stay on for another 15, 20 minutes. And then we'll wrap it up for tonight. I might jump on tomorrow. So tomorrow, don't forget, we have the halftime show. I'm now jumping on at halftime to do a halftime recap. We have the post game show, and I'm even considering doing a live game stream tomorrow. If I do, I'll put out the information early, so everybody will know. I can't show the game. I know some other people try to show the game, but I will bring in the audio and we'll just kind of hang out and watch the Lions do what they do. I'm not going to know, though, till probably 2:00 tomorrow if I'm going to do that. Sports Talk with Rob. Yeah, let me throw it in the chat so you guys have it. Why is it not letting me message my own chat? I hate this chat. 313-312-0348. And that number don't change. So you can lock it in. 313-312-0348. So one other point I want to make here is I watched the Bills and the 49ers defenses. I mean, I watched a lot of the game against the Cowboys this week, and they constantly were using 5 and 6 DBs to get pressure and cover the receivers. Really limited the ability for Lamb to do what he does. The Bills played a lot of man-to-man with help over the top and underneath. The 49ers used a lot of single high safety, and then they overloaded the one side to help get pressure with Bosa. So the Lions should mimic this. You know, they're smart. They're going to watch tape. They're going to see what worked for other teams, and they should mimic this. Utilize what both, the 49ers and the Bills do well. So we'll see. We'll see what they do tomorrow. But there was a lot of, opportunity that I saw in both of those games that the Lions, they can do the same thing. They've shown the ability to do it. The most important thing is if the Lions are going to single up Lamb, that's a huge mistake. I don't think that singling up Lamb tomorrow is going to help Cam Sutton at all. He's going to be traveling, hopefully. I don't necessarily want to see Kindle Vildor on CD Lamb. So let's assume that Cam is traveling tomorrow. He's going to have a tougher day, a longer day. And you know that CD Lamb's going to try to wear him out. He's going to be going back and forth in motion. So if you single Lamb up tomorrow, the Lions will get eaten alive. And it's not a knock on Cam Sutton. It's just the Cowboys, they're kind of like the Lions. We have too many weapons. They have too many weapons. And it could be a real ugly day. So double them up, single them up man to man with a jam and have somebody right over top, that's going to catch up and pick up Lamb if he gets free. So obviously the biggest key to tomorrow is winning the turnover margin. I don't think I need to explain this one. But the Lions need to be in the right defensive scheme tomorrow with more DBs on the field and win some turnover margin. They're going to need at least one interception tomorrow to win this game. So TaylorMade says live audio would be cool. I can't stand ESPN though. I'll try to find something different if I can. I don't know what else would be on, quite honestly. I don't even know if the game is. So it's Monday night on Saturday night. So it's not an Amazon Prime because that's Thursday night. So it should be NFL Network. And I don't know if I can play NFL Network without having a problem. I don't know. I'll look into it tomorrow. So if I do it, I'll like I said, I'll put the information out early. It'll just be scheduled in the live streams. And then there'll be some information in the description. Lastly, key number 5. We talked about it earlier, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got to limit the explosive plays tomorrow. We can't have 11 plays over 20 yards like we did against the Vikings. That is not going to work against the Cowboys. on our offensive side of the ball, which we really haven't spoken a lot about our offensive side of the ball. I think that the plan's pretty simple. We need to run it down their damn throat. I mean, there's been some big games the last couple of weeks against the Cowboys. And I want to say was it the Bills that just put up 266 yards on them just a couple weeks ago? And not too long before that, I believe it was the 49ers. Did they put about $166 on them, $176, something like that? So this is a big game for the Lions to really step up and, run the ball, play smash mouth football, power football all day, control the clock, get that play action moving, and control the game. It's that simple. Yeah, real simple, right? Real simple. All right, Southwest Lion 16 says smash mouth with lots of play action, crossing patterns, slants for Gibbs and J-Mo. That's a big key is J-Mo, man. We need to see J-Mo. I want to see him getting free tomorrow. I would love to see him score a TD in Dallas. Be huge. All right, so I'm going to leave the phone line open here for just a few more minutes. Better make sure it's not on Do Not Disturb, right? There we go. Phone line's on. A few more minutes. Sorry, quick show tonight, but still not feeling the greatest. So thyroid medications all over the place. And I'm just exhausted. So got to get to dial back in next week. Question here by Lone Wolf. Who has the Cowboys beat this year? Who has the Cowboys beat this year? I did. Let me find it because I just wrote that today. The Cowboys, when I did that video on Larry Fitzgerald, I called the Cowboys maybe one of the biggest frauds of the season. Because where is it? I wrote it today. Because of how they lost. Here we go. Cowboys lost to the Cardinals. They got waxed by the 49ers, lost to the Eagles, waxed by the Bills, and just lost to the Dolphins. So if that answers your questions, who have they beat this year? That's who they didn't beat. I mean, they lost to the Cardinals, for God's sakes. And I mean, when they got waxed, they got really waxed by the 49ers and the Bills. Dolphins game, I think they lost by 2. And, the Eagles, they're up and down too. And that was my whole point. So let me talk about that for a second. We want to talk about Larry Fitzgerald calling these Lions frauds, right? And why? Because we got our butts kicked by the Ravens. And we really only had one bad game from a point perspective. The Bears, you could say, was a bad game too. I think we lost by 15. But other than that, the Lions have played pretty darn good games and trying to keep it close. So let's talk about frauds. 49ers lost 3 in a row. Ravens lost to Pittsburgh and the Colts. The Colts, really? In the Pittsburgh, they don't even have a clue over there anymore. The Chiefs have lost 6 games. I already spoke about what the Cowboys just didn't do. And the Eagles have lost to the Jets. They were waxed by the 49ers. They lost to the Seahawks and the Cowboys. And they almost lost to the Commanders 2 times. And the Chiefs. So you want to tell me who the frauds are? You could put every single one of us that are vying for these top seeds in a fraud category. We've all had our butts kicked at least once, but some of these teams more than once, more than twice. So who are the real frauds is the question for Larry Fitzgerald. Because it's not necessarily the Lions, who only have 4 losses. And, combined loss totals, I think we've lost, the 4 combined games under 40 points in the season, under 45 points on the season, something like that. So, yeah, I'm not sold, Larry. Maybe you should come out of retirement and go help your Cardinals win. Jay Smitty says, I agree with Lauren. Iffy and Kirby have proven to be a rangy duo, so the corners can play their own island. All right, we got a call coming in. I'll be right back. All right, we got Sports Talk with Rob on the line. Rob, how you doing tonight?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, man. Happy or merry belated Christmas, and Happy New Year coming up.
Oh yeah, man. Same here, man. Happy New Year. Happy, belated holiday, Christmas. Feel good to be, King of the North.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, man. It's a big deal for me because I was only 2 years old when they won the division back in '93. So finally witnesses, it was a big deal for me. So
yeah,
yeah, man. This is the thing with this game tomorrow. It's a given, right? Like we want the Lions to win, but honestly, I just want them to really just have a good game because I feel like this game tomorrow will kind of determine what we would do in the playoffs, moving forward. What you think about that?
So you're saying that you're okay with them just being the 3 seed and you want to just see them have a good game and be in a good matchup against the Cowboys?
Well, no. All I'm saying is win or lose. I want to be feeling confident. Okay, regardless of what happens, I'm confident I'm confident moving forward going to the playoffs. I'm never going to settle.
Right. Yeah, I got you. I mean, I guess I'm so darn competitive that when I look at the opportunity right now and what I just read about, that we could all be frauds, I guess, to Larry's point, every team that has had, the types of losses that the Lions have had can be called a fraud, right? So to me, it leaves both conferences wide open at the top. So if the Lions slide into this 1 seed, I think they have the best chance to go further. Clearly they do because they get a home bye. But if they slide into the 1 seed, I don't think that there is a team that they would play that they can't beat. So for me, I hear you on tomorrow. For me, I want to see them win because I think that the 1 seed is still possible. I mean, we know it's mathematically possible. And even a 2 seed is a much better seed to have. So, and I hear you. I want to see him play well. I want to see him play with confidence. I want to see him, not come off of this huge victory, winning the, championship and just completely shit the bed. I don't want to see that.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, I feel like they're going to win tomorrow. I want them to win. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I was like, all right, I don't want y'all to stink up the place. Like I said, I want to continue, make sure we just continue to build a momentum. You know what I'm saying? Use this game to build a momentum. Of course, win the game so we can get to a higher seed, like you're saying. But, I just want just like a really complete game. Execute,
Yep.
I feel like one of the things we need to do, the Dallas struggle, stop with a run. We need to run on their neck.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't see our running game slowing down now, so I feel like, Gibbs and Montgomery, they gonna do what they do. And I feel like another thing that we gotta happen, last year when we lost to the Cowboys, I felt like we could really beat them, but I felt like turnovers and different little minor mistakes hurt us last year as well.
Oh yeah.
So now moving forward, we are a way better team than last year. And when we played the Cowboys last year, this is before we hit our run. So this is a totally different team that Dallas is seeing now. So I feel like, if the offensive line can protect Goff, we know what Goff could do when he don't have pressure on. on them. To tear it up.
Last year, yeah. So Rob, last year was so bad. The Lions had 5 turnovers, 3 fumbles, 2 interceptions. We still had more time of possession, but we let up 5 sacks. So you want to talk about a bad day at the office? It doesn't get any worse than that.
Yeah.
So it can't happen again. And we lost the game by 18 points, 24-6. That we should have lost by 30, 40 points because of how many turnovers we gave up. But it's tomorrow's different. You're right. It's a different team. We've elevated this team in so many different directions. I think it's time we go in and insert our dominance and play strong.
Yeah, man, and use that for motivation, because Dallas, they're gonna be motivated. What they third straight loss now, so they trying to make it they 4th straight loss. So
yeah, so the Cowboys have dropped 2 in a row, so this could be their 3rd loss tomorrow.
Oh, 3rd loss. Okay. Well, yeah. So they coming tomorrow. So I don't even like Dallas. You know what I'm saying? But they coming tomorrow, and I guess Coach Johnson, that used to coach for the Dallas Cowboys, he getting his ring ceremony tomorrow. So
yep.
We got to bring him, bro.
Let me ask you a question, Rob. Let me ask you a question. What happened to the Chiefs when they hung up their Super Bowl banner in Week 1?
Well, we took care of business. What happens when
we go on the road in prime time?
Undefeated so far.
What's going to happen tomorrow, Rob?
We're going to win tomorrow. And we're going to wear the blueberry unis, so we undefeated in the blueberry unis.
Because we have no respect for the Cowboys tomorrow, man. I'm telling you, we're winning the game.
No, man. All right, look, I already picked up my Cowboys pack. You know what I'm saying? I'm smoking on that Cowboy pack tomorrow.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying?
There you go.
Yeah, but yeah, man, look. I'm loving it. We're gonna show America who the real American team.
There you go.
What I'm saying?
Love it.
And that's the Detroit Lions, man. So yeah, I'm excited. Let's go Lions, King of the North. We the new bad boys. Remember the bad boys?
Oh, yeah.
The new bad boys.
We've got to inject. I thought that they were doing something like that when they injected this whole villain, thing. And I was like, man, we're like the villains of the Bad Boys from '98. So
that's what that grid is. Yep.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, Pistons, man. We have to sacrifice y'all, but hey, do what we got to do.
Hey, look, for the Lions to do what they're doing this year, and if we could win a playoff game or 2, or take it all the way, I wouldn't care if the Pistons won another game the rest of the season.
Yeah. Oh, when I asked you what you think about James Houston, I know he ain't gonna play tomorrow, but moving forward, are you excited? Him coming, maybe help our pass rush?
I don't know. I mean, as long as the Lions have the room. So here's my honest opinion about. Even CJ Gardner falls in this opinion, kinda. He came back early enough, but would you really want to upset the apple cart if you really have to try to make some room? I'd have to go look at the depth chart right now because they made some moves today, really screwed around with some things. But would you really want to upset the apple cart for somebody that has not been fighting next to his brothers all season, and he had a busted ankle? And so he's going to have to work off that pressure of that ankle. That could be his dig ankle, where he bends on the right side of the line. That could be his outside ankle. And I don't know that I would take the chance if he can't come back and play by week 18 and get at least one game in. I don't know that I would put him in the playoffs. I'd much rather put Irvin on the 53-man roster and keep rolling because it's been working. And I hate to say that because James Houston, in my opinion, based off of last season, I think that he would have had an incredible season this year had he not got injured. And he has so much upside. That kid has so much upside. He reminds me of a young Von Miller at times with the way that he bends and how quick he is off the edge.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah. I'm torn because I want to see him back, helping Aiden Hutchinson out on the other side, but do you really risk it?
I think I agree. Like, we got to see him at least by, week 18 against the Vikings. So, just, to his momentum moving forward. But I feel like, we decided to use him, man. We need to use him for, like, you don't need to experiment. I feel like in the beginning of the season, like, we try to use him, like, for coverage at time as well, because I think Dan said it, like, look, we know he's a good pass rusher, but we need to see he can do other things besides just rush the quarterback.
And that's what got him hurt.
I think, yeah, that's what got him hurt. Yeah, exactly. So
just let him rush the passer.
Just let him rush the passer. Just one job, because that's what he did last year. That's how he built a name for him last year. So let him do his.
Don't fix what's not broke, right? I mean, if it's not broke, just leave it alone. And they screwed him. Hey, that's AG, man. That's AG being stubborn.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm gonna ask you one more question, bro. Hey, you think this game, I want to say determine his career with us, like his job with us, but if they stink up the place, you think, that would determine, how long you going to stay with us?
Who?
Aaron Glenn.
If it's a defensive stink up of the game, look, I already think that Aaron Glenn is on the hot seat anyway. But if he resurges and he's able to get this defense playing right for the rest of the season, I think he'll have a better shot at getting a head coaching job. And if he does, resurge this defense and we are playing pretty well through the offseason, we don't stink up the place tomorrow, he'll probably be back next year. I'm just saying for what it is, because he'll finally have his players by next year.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good point you just made, because I would say I haven't been on the bandwagon just saying we need to fire Aaron Glenn, but I try to keep it fair. Like, okay, he's what he has. I feel like he's doing exceptional well, doing really well what he has.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't get anything new this year. All of his new toys got hurt. The batteries were broke by game 2. CJ Gardner was gone. James Houston was gone. Mosley was injured in 2 plays. Aleem McNeil has now been out for 4 weeks. Who else got hurt on the defensive side of the ball? Brian Branch was hurt for a couple of games. So
Jerry Jacobs.
And Jerry played well, and then he, crapped the bed ever since. But we've pretty much had the same defense this year we had last year, and that's why we're getting the same product on the field. So
I think he's done well what he has. But I think, especially in the playoffs, he's going to determine like his career with his future with us. So but
I could agree with that.
Yeah, man. Look. Yeah. So look, let's just keep doing what we're doing, man. Let's get these W's. You know what I'm saying? And we're going to see what we do in the playoffs, man. So see we'll get that number 2, hopefully that number 1 seed. How crazy would it be to see? I was thinking about this earlier, because another team that got a chance to be the number 1 seed on the AFC side is the Browns.
Yeah.
How crazy would that be to see the Browns and Lions in the Super Bowl? That would be so crazy.
You wait till you see my video dropping tomorrow, because I was just talking about this. I wrote an article back in April or May about the Browns and the Lions and how synonymous they were with some records and always having the crap records in the league. The worst of the worst stats. Like the Lions go 0-16, and the Browns had to do it. They go 0-16 a couple seasons later. It's just like we keep trading the bottom barrel of the basement of stats in the league between the two clubs. And now, I mean, the Browns all of a sudden, and I've got a wild one for you too, but so the Browns all of a sudden have a resurgence. They might become the number 1 seed. If the Lions become the number 1 seed, could we see the Lions and the Browns in the Super Bowl? The 2 worst teams in the NFL in the Super Bowl this year is a possibility if they both get 1 seeds. Imagine that. Crazy. Here's another crazy one. Do you trade Jared Goff and bring Flacco in for a season?
Heck no.
Look how he's playing. Look how he's playing now.
But you know what? The Browns need to consider. your quarter $1 billion quarterback, he's at home.
Yeah.
You got Joe Flacco probably for a box of cookies.
Exactly.
Right? So
exactly.
You got to make some decisions. Deshaun, this offense look a little different without you, big fella. What we doing? All right.
I think it's time to cut Watson, bring Flacco in. I mean, yeah, you could probably pay him a cool, league minimum on quarterbacks next year. What, 5, 10, 15, 20 million for a season? Save yourself a heck of a lot of money. And I don't know, man. Flacco, when I saw him with his bird chest in the locker room, I just couldn't help but laugh. But the dude's out there throwing needles, man. I mean, he's just threading it. It's incredible.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. I mean, you think about it, he's kind of in his comfort space because, kind of remind me of the Ravens a little bit when, that made a Super Bowl run. They got a top 3 defense. They got good offensive weapons. So honestly, he's in his comfort spot like he was before. So
yeah, he is. And he's got some good protection around him too, but it's just, it never ceases to amaze me on any given Sunday what can happen in this league. And that's why I love football. And Rob, I appreciate you calling in tonight. We'll see you tomorrow if I do a live show, but of course we'll be on after the game too. And hopefully we get a victory tomorrow, man. I appreciate you.
Oh, no problem, bro. I'll be watching, bro. Keep doing your thing.
All right, Rob. Take care. We appreciate you, man. Go Lions. All right. Good conversation with Rob. And he brings up a lot of great points as always. But it's funny what Flacco's doing in the league right now. But man, I give that guy all the graces in the world because it's not easy to do what he's doing. I couldn't imagine at my age running out and throwing a football right now. I wouldn't even make it to the 5-yard line. All right, we got another call coming in. I'll be right back. All right, we got SW Lion on, and how's it going, Pete?
Oh, it's going well, Will. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good, my friend. What's on your mind tonight?
Well, I had to call in. I mean, this has been an incredible season for the Lions, and, so much credit to them for not playing scared last week in that Minnesota game. I mean, even though this team has nothing to do with the prior history of this franchise, I'm sure they've heard better. It's hard not to hear it unless you are completely tuned out from the media. But they didn't play scared. And I've been one of AG's biggest critics pretty much the entire year. But I think it began to start with the game in Chicago, and more so the Broncos and the Vikings. He figured it out, I think. He realized I don't have the talent on the defensive line to get the pressure, hits, and sacks with just that. I need to add speed to the rush. And ever since they've started blitzing and made the quarterbacks more uncomfortable, it's made a huge difference. And I think he needs to continue doing that, obviously, tomorrow.
Yeah, I can't agree more, man. I mean, AG's stubborn, and we know that he's stubborn just by watching, what we've seen this season. And you're spot on with, we needed to add speed to the rush. So our front four, they do get great pressure, but they're not getting it quick enough. And delayed pressure is not good pressure. But the minute you're adding a defensive back or a linebacker, you're also freeing up somebody on the defensive line, because an offensive lineman is going to have to break away to pick up somebody coming in. So someone's going to get free. And I love it, man. And I love it.
Yeah, without a doubt. And, especially when you're facing mobile quarterbacks, even Russell Wilson, he still has mobility, certainly more mobility than Mullins has.
Yeah.
Quarterbacks. And I think Dak is mobile. I would be adding at least 2 speed rushers, to that pass rush every time if it's an obvious passing down.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Lions, I guess I'm not so worried about Dak's legs from a dual threat perspective. I am worried about his legs from a scramble perspective. If he's got to run,
he can extend plays.
Yes,
that's the thing, though. He
1,000%. He's good in and out of the pocket. He's good at evading pressure. What he's bad at is making decisions. So when he does get scrambled and he gets rattled a little bit, that's when Dak likes to hand us the ball back. So that's why I think it's so important tomorrow that EG really mixes things up. It's, we can't, and they did it very well against the Broncos and the Saints. He was sending guys from all over the place. It'd be Iffy, and then it'd be Joseph, and then it would, be a linebacker. It was just all over the place. And if he can just do that again tomorrow and keep Dak guessing, we'll have some good success.
Without a doubt. You don't have to rush Iffy every time, even though Iffy is fantastic when he comes in. But I think you do need to mix it up. You can't just show the same thing time and time again. Eventually, they'll figure out a way to stop it if you show the same look and do the same thing every time. And he hasn't been doing that, to his credit. And even in the Minnesota game, Will, I know they gave up 400 yards, but what I liked about the way they were playing, it's like, you know what? We're not going to let you hold this ball forever. You're going to have to make a decision. And Mullins, he's reckless, man. That guy plays hero ball. And he was playing a lot of hero ball in that game.
He looked good doing it. I tell you what, I was having some reminiscence of Flynn. I can't remember what year it was that Flynn came in and torched us. So I was hoping it wasn't going to happen again.
But offensively, I think the Lions, if they can do, Will, what they've done the last 2 weeks, I mean, they ran for like 185 yards against Denver. They ran for like 143 yards against Minnesota. They won time of possession. They didn't turn the ball over. That's the formula. If they can do that again tomorrow, I think they win.
I couldn't agree more with you, man. I think that the win tomorrow is going to be heavily predicated on a run game. And if we get it moving, there's nothing that's going to stop these Detroit Lions tomorrow. And
I'd be punishing Parsons every time they run the ball. And I don't mean dirty, but I would be making sure that I have at least one guy, making physical contact with him, blocking him every time. Over the course of a game, I think that takes a toll.
It does. And I know that we let Jason Kabinda go, and I've never been big on that position. I always felt like you're better off bringing in an extra offensive lineman, or bringing in an extra linebacker, someone that's going to play on teams anyway, and use them as your H-back, or get an extra tight end, something where the position is useful. Fullbacks are a dying breed. They've been a dying breed for a long time. I think the last great fullback that I really enjoyed watching was Mike Allstott. And since then, there's been a couple, but nothing real exciting. So to your point, I think that if they're going to do that tomorrow, whether it's Penei Sewell dragging around or Jonah Jackson, pulling out and dragging around, somebody's got to be able to pull and put the wood on Parsons tomorrow. And I think, I think you're exactly right. You punish him time and time and time again. He's going to get sick of it.
And you don't always have to, if Goff is under center, he doesn't always have to hand it off when he's under center. He can do a lot of play action. If he's in the shotgun, he doesn't always have to throw it. He can still hand the ball off. Just kind of keep him honest, keep him guessing.
Yep. I love it. Well, cool. All right. Well, I appreciate you calling in tonight, and we're going to wrap up the show and wrap up the calls tonight. I'll be on tomorrow for the halftime show and the post-game show. Feel free to call in tomorrow night too. And Pete, do you have any predictions for us tomorrow? Do you think the Lions are going to win?
Okay, I predicated on what I said before. I think if they control time of possession, win the turnover battle, they're winning. And I'm going to say for a final score, let's say the Lions 33, Dallas 30. 33 to 30.
33-30. Tight game. It's going to be a good game to watch. All right, Pete.
Thanks, Will. I appreciate it, my friend.
I appreciate you too, man. Have a good night, and I'm sure we'll touch base tomorrow.
All right, take care.
All right, bye-bye. All right, we heard it from Pete, man. They got to establish the run tomorrow, and I couldn't agree more. I think everybody understands that, that's the biggest part of our game tomorrow on the offensive side of the ball is really setting the tone with the run game. Lion Dog says blitzing will make Dak throw quick, and if he rolls out of the pocket, maybe Anzalone will be there to drag him down before he extends the throw to a receiver who is broken off of his route. That's a great observation. The thing that I love about Dak and when he rolls out and when he escapes the pocket is he kind of loses his head a little bit. He makes bad decisions. And I'm hoping that he makes a few bad decisions tomorrow. Lone Wolf, I appreciate the compliments, man. He says, great show. Let's go Lions. Go get this win. Really appreciate you. Hatter's House. Hey, good to see you in. It's been a minute. They'd say play aggressive on both sides of the ball all game long. Taylor Media says Niners still use the fullback in situations they do. And they have a pretty good fullback too over there. I think it's Jusic or something like that. He's a pretty good fullback. They're just not a big position anymore in the NFL. It's a dying breed. I just wish that they would utilize, the Lions, which they're starting to realize is utilize a different position as a fullback. So that's it for Rock Down Detroit Lions. If you guys are new tonight, joining in, appreciate you guys. Consider joining the channel and subscribing and hit that notification bell for when we go live. If you guys haven't liked the channel while watching tonight, please send us a like, get the algorithm working. Let's stomp out these Cowboys, man. Let's put all the Lions content out there. Let's flood the internet with it. The more we get this thing spinning, the more we drown out the Cowboys noise, because that's all they are, is noise. So that's it for me tonight. I'm looking forward to tomorrow. And like I said, I will put up information if I'm going to do a live stream during the game, and I'll put it up a couple hours early so that you guys will get a notification. Otherwise, you catch me at halftime and catch me after the game. I'll go on right away. Since it's a night game, I'll go on within 30 minutes of the game time ending tomorrow, and we can air it all out right here on Rock Down Detroit Lions. All right, go One Pride, go Detroit Lions. Y'all take care. Peace. We'll see ya.
Wants to throw it to Short. He caught it. He's going on the first down. Oh, the big man dives down the 31-yard line. Oh, that is beautiful. Fields looking pressured, hit from behind, take it down. Aiden Hutchinson got him.
No respect.
So, we look like we're ready. This is day one.
No respect.